is worth it. That wisdom will always be worth it, regardless of how you apply it to your life. And a lot of times when we come together and we study the Bible, and we study God's words, some of the concepts are these big, massive, theological ideas and truths that we're trying to wrap our head around. But in this series, we're going to look at something just practical, really practical. We're going to look at the book of Proverbs, where there's a father who was writing out wisdom to his kids. And he's passing on knowledge to his kids, and this wisdom is worth it. This wisdom is also really practical to specific things in your life. Just for example, how many of you are morning people? You know that you're a morning person. Yeah? How many of you are 100% not morning people? Yeah? Do any of your parents do that thing where they wake you up super loud and cheery and are like, hey, wake up? You know what I mean? Hey, here you go. If that's you, I have a proverb for you. You can write this on your door and it will prepare your parents. They'll be shocked at you. So this is Proverbs 27:14. This is how practical it is. It says, if anyone blesses his neighbor with a loud voice early in the morning, it will be counted as a curse to him. So next time your parents wake you up super early, take a second, write it down. Put a sticky note on your door. Just your parents be prepared. And they can't get mad at you because you're just quoting the Bible at them, right? So it's really, the book of Proverbs is crazy. It's really practical. Don't be a jerk to people in the mornings, even if you're blessing them. So the point of this series is to grow in wisdom, because wisdom is worth it. And what is wisdom? We defined this last week. Here's what wisdom means. Wisdom means understanding God's will. Growing in your understanding of what God's will is, what He wants you to do in your life. What's important to you, how does He want you to respond? How does He want you to act in these situations, in these circumstances? Last week we talked about friends. And we said that our dumb friends are dangerous. This is simple. We know this. And if you walk with wise, you become wise. Companion of fools suffers harms. Your dumb friends are dangerous. So be careful around dumb friends, because it may cause you to suffer. Tonight we're going to look at another area, a really practical area that is really important to a lot of people. So tonight we're going to focus on dating. We're going to look at dating and how can we apply God's wisdom to the way that we date. Now, I don't know where you are in the dating game. I don't know where you stand in this game. I know some of you are already dating. Some of you, are with someone now, or you were with someone a couple days ago, and now you're not. Who knows? And I promise, if you've already started dating, tonight is going to be for you. Maybe you want to date, but you're not allowed to. I understand some parents have, limits. There's an age, there's certain requirements, and so maybe you want to date, but you can't. That's cool. That's fine. I promise you, tonight is for you. Maybe you want to date, but just nobody likes you. And I understand that stinks. It's difficult. We talked about last week that wisdom is worth it. And one of the things the Bible says that we can grow in with wisdom is that people will be more attracted to us. So this is for you, I promise. If you ever plan on dating at any point in your life, I promise you tonight is for you. So we're going to focus on how do we apply God's wisdom, growing and understanding God's will to the way that we date. Because the truth is, a lot of us, some of the biggest and the most amazing moments of our high school career involved people that we're in relationships with, and also some of the biggest mistakes and some of the biggest pain and biggest wounds that we experience come from the romantic relationships that we find ourselves in. So we're going to apply God's wisdom to dating because it's worth it, even when it comes to dating. And because we know, right, dumb friends are dangerous, but honestly, truthfully, a lot of times, our own dumb mistakes are dangerous. Our own unwise decisions, the unwise way we live our lives, that they cause us pain. And it happens in our dating life as well. We're the ones a lot of times that cause the problems. So we're going to add God's wisdom to it. If you've never made one of those decisions, or have you ever made one of those decisions where afterwards, someone said to you, or your parents said to you, what were you thinking? And the only answer was I don't know, what was it thinking? Or you did something, and I remember this from my parents all the time, Brian, what was the plan? What were you trying to accomplish? And I was like, there wasn't a plan. I'm super impulsive. I just kind of do whatever I'm thinking about doing in the moment. And a lot of times that caused me problems. So here's just one example. When I was a senior in high school, maybe a year after high school, I worked at a charter fishing company on St. Simon. So I was a first mate on a charter fishing boat. Not a big fancy one. It was a pontoon boat. It looks like this one. I tried to find the one I actually worked on, and I couldn't find it. That's Jekyll Island. It's a big old pontoon boat. There's 50 people on the boat, and my main job as a first mate on the charter boat was to put bait on people's hooks, because it's a tourist attraction. Tourists would come in, they don't want to touch little dead squids, so I put dead squids on the hook, throw them in the water, they'd catch something, and I would take the fish off the hook for them and hold it for them, because they didn't want to hold it, right? There's a whole touristy thing, and there's all sorts of stuff. If you're a fisherman, there's all sorts of stuff you can catch in Brunswick if you like it. 99% of the time you catch little baby sharks, tons of little bonnet heads and hammerheads and sharp noses, tons and tons and tons of sharks. So the real goal of these fishing tours, though, was not to get people to catch fish. The real goal was to be entertaining. Because the more entertaining we were, the more money they gave us, right? We lived off of tips. And so we tried to be like clever and funny, and we would flirt with the old ladies because they had a lot of money. We were trying to get money from people. That was the whole goal on this trip. And so one of the best ways that we would get money is on the back of the boat, there was a winch. It's not on this one, but on the back of the boat, there was a winch, and it had a big cable, and we'd sink it down to the bottom of the flats, all the way down to the bottom to the deep parts of the water. And you put a couple fish on there, you cut them up with a big old hook, and you would sink it as far down as you could. And the goal was to catch a big shark, right? Because people would catch these little baby sharks, and they would hold them, and you would take pictures, and it was cool. But if you got like a big shark, like a murder shark, like a killer shark, and you brought that sucker close, people would just like throw money at you. Like it was the way to get rich. And so our goal was to always try to catch the biggest shark that we could. So we were on the boats. I have a picture of the inside of the boat too, just so you can kind of see what it looks like. So there's 2 rows, an aisle, kind of right down the middle like this. So one of the days I was on the boat, and I can't remember his name. I'm calling him Captain Philip because I like it. I don't remember his name because we called him Captain Crunch because he wrecked the boat like all the time. He was a bad captain. He didn't think things through. He never really had a great plan. So we're leading a tour. He tells me and one of the other mates, Creighton, to go throw the line out into the sink line. So we sunk it down to the bottom. And you would know when you caught a big shark because the boat would start to struggle. You're like, oh, that's a big one. And so we're catching whiting and little tiny fish. And the boat starts to struggle, and he's like, Ryan, crank that shark in. So I get back, and I start cranking this shark in, and cranking it in, and it comes to the surface, and it's like a 7-foot-long black-tip shark. So there's a picture of one of those. And it's in the back of the boat, and we leave him in the water, and he's just kind of hanging out in the water, and people are looking at it, and the tourists are like taking pictures, and we're like, yeah, we're going to make so much money. And then Captain Crunch calls me and Creighton over, the other mate, and he's like, hey, yo, you should gaff that shark and pull him onto the boat. And we're like, okay. So here's what a gaff is, too, just in case you don't know. A gaff is just a long pole with a sharp hook on the end of it. And so what we were agreeing to do was to go up to this 7-foot-long killer animal and stab it with sharp metal hooks and pull it onto the boat, right? We're telling the people, like, hey, everyone get in your seats. We're going to pull this sucker onto the boat. And they're like, yeah, do it, because they're dumb. And they don't know what a shark can do. Here's just another picture of the inside of the mouth of the, look at it. It's evil. Right? You see the diver back there for perspective a little bit? So we walked into the boat, and I take this big long stick, and I go, and I stick it in the side of that shark, and Craig does it on the other side. And we pull that sucker up, and we get it in the middle aisle in the boat. And I'm standing at his tail, Craig's standing at the head of the shark, and I'm like, yo, look at the shark. This is an Atlantic, it's black tip. This is a black tip reef shark, and like, feel its skin, everybody. There's little kids and grandmas and parents. And I'm like, see, you think it's smooth, but it's like sandpaper. And the shark is just laying there, it's chilled, like nothing's happening. It's maybe it knows that we're bigger and we got sticks and stuff. I don't know what the shark was thinking. But after a while, like when you were a kid, if you ever had a goldfish and you like set it on a table, you know what a fish looks like when it starts flopping around and it can't breathe? You know what I'm talking about? You picture that in your brain? So imagine like death incarnate doing that in the middle of a boat. Because that's what starts happening. All of a sudden the shark realizes, hey, I'm not supposed to be out of the water, and I can eat these things. And it starts flipping out, like its mouth is open, it's flopping around the deck, and people are screaming, little kids start crying. We gotta figure out how to get the shark off the boat. I'm in the back of it trying to grab its tail and pull it off, and Craig started kicking it in the front, and we kick it off the back of the boat, and people were super upset, like really angry, because we just put a shark on a boat, and it was mad. It was like sharks bite people. That was a really dumb thing to do. And afterwards, we got back, and the guy who owned the company, his name was Cap Findig, and he was like, what were y'all thinking? And I was like, we just thought we would get money. It was such a dumb and an impulsive idea. We didn't have a plan. We were just going to put a shark on the boat and hope everything worked out. And that's not how it works, right? You have to have a plan. You got to be prepared for these things. And that reminded me of a quote from Benjamin Franklin I learned when I was in high school. And it's this, that if you fail to plan, then you are planning to fail. It's a really simple quote. I like it. If you fail to plan, then you're planning to fail. And I was thinking about this, yeah, man, this is true in every area of our lives, man. If there's things that we are pursuing and things that we want, things that are important to us, if we're not planning on it, thinking it through, working on it, then we're honestly asking that thing to fail and to fall apart. And that's true when it comes to dating. And dating is an important thing to so many of us. And even if it's not something you can participate in now, it will be eventually. It becomes a huge part of so many people's lives. Like friendships are torn apart through dating relationships. Lifelong memories are happening. It's some of the highest highs and the lowest lows. And most of us have no plan at all when it comes to dating. Which is crazy, because if you fail to plan, and you're planning to fail when it comes to dating. So tonight I'm going to show you a proverb. It's Proverbs chapter 7. We're going to start at verse 6. And this is going to be a long one. We're going to cover a big old section of scripture. So it's going to be on page 334 in those Bibles underneath your seat, so you can follow along with me. Also, if you, hold on, I got to turn off AirDrop. Oh my goodness. Turning off Bluetooth. All right. This is going to be a long section of scripture, and I'm going to go ahead and warn you. Remember, proverb, this is a king, it's a father who's passing on wisdom to his sons and to his daughters. And this is a really cool moment because this is a father speaking to his kids, but this is ultimately God speaking to us. Because even though in Proverbs, as we talk about wisdom, we're talking about really practical things, and it's easy to forget how amazing it is that the God of the universe, the God who created everything, cares so much about every single one of you that he would speak directly to real-life issues that you are having and you're going through. That is an amazing thing. Don't take it for granted. So be prepared. This is really practical. This is about life and real struggles that people have. Also, this is some of the most scandalous verses in the Bible. So get ready, especially ninth graders. This is probably a verse they wouldn't read in middle school. So just ready? You guys ready for that? I'm excited because I like it. So we're going to start off. Proverbs 7, starting in verse 6. It says, "At the window of my house, I looked through my lattice, and I saw among the inexperienced, I noticed among the youths, a young man who was lacking sense." So here's the king. He's in his palace. He's standing at a window, and he looks out and sees a crowd of young people. And he focuses in on one guy, and he says this guy is inexperienced. He's young. He's lacking sense. So he's not dumb. He's just unwise. He hasn't experienced a lot of things in life. He's unwise, and he hasn't grown fully in understanding what God's will for his life is. And so Solomon is watching this young man, and as he's watching him, he sees this interaction play out, this conversation he has with the woman that he meets, and he expands this scene that he sees into a metaphor for life and to teach real wisdom to us. So here's what's happening. He sees a young man, verse 8, crossing the street near her corner, he strolled down the road towards her house at twilight and at evening, in the dark of the night. So he's watching this man. He said he's young, he's unwise, he's not prepared, he's all alone, he's just wandering through the streets. And it says he's going by her house, he's going by her corner. The king is seeing this person that this young man is walking towards, and so he's focusing in to see what happens next. He's bought into the moment. Verse 10, "A woman came out to meet him, dressed like a prostitute and having a hidden agenda. She is loud and defiant, her feet do not stay at home. Now in the streets, now in the squares, she lurks at every corner." So here's what's happening. He sees this young man go to this lady's street, by this lady's corner, and she comes out and she meets him. And the Bible says she's dressed provocatively. And what he's seeing is a young guy who's being tempted. He's facing a very real desire. Right in front of him, this woman comes out, and he sees her, he's attracted to her. The king is watching this young man who's unwise, all alone, and heading towards her house. He's being confronted with desires, being confronted with temptation. He's all alone and he's unprepared. He has no plan. And the king is watching this all unfold. It says, "Down the streets, down the squares, she looks at every corner." What he's saying is there's real temptations and there's real desires that all of us experience. Some of those things are good, some of those things are bad, some of those things draw us closer to God, some of them pull us away from God. He's saying this negative temptation, it can show up at any point, at any time, at any place. And if you're not prepared for it, you won't know how to respond. And this young man is unprepared. He has no plan. Keep going. Verse 13. "She grabs him and she kisses him. She brazenly says to him, 'I make fellowship offerings today. Today I have fulfilled my vows. And so I came to meet you, to search for you, and I have found you.'" She's saying, "Hey, I went to church today. Hey, I went to church. I made offerings. I'm prepared. I did all the things you're supposed to do. I'm free and clean. God is prepared. And now that I've gone to church and I've cleaned myself up, I'm coming to look for you." And what is she looking for him for? Verse 16, "I've spread coverings on my bed, richly colored linen from Egypt. I perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let's drink deeply of lovemaking until the morning. Let's feast on each other's love." Man, you guys ready to hear that verse tonight? Let's drink deeply of lovemaking and feast. I'm sorry, I'm in church. I think it's a funny line. Here's what's happening. There's a young person who's unprepared. He's all alone. He's got no plan. And he's walking through the streets, and he stumbles upon this lady. And the lady is a metaphor for the desire. And she's representing this desire that he has. And it's a desire that God placed inside of him. But this lady is giving us hints that she's crazy. And one of the things that she's like, hey, I went to church today, I made fellowship offerings, I'm clean, God is proud of me, and now I'm ready to sin. Like, it's a messed up situation that she's in, and she's offering this guy. And so essentially this young man is being ambushed by temptation. He's being ambushed by this desire. He's being ambushed to express this desire that's inside of him in a way that's outside of God's will and outside of God's plan. And because he's alone and because he's being ambushed, he's not prepared for this moment. Get ready, verse 19, because this is crazy. So she says, hey, I'm ready. I went to church. I'm ready to start sin. My room is ready. Verse 19, listen, my husband isn't home. He went on a long journey. He took a bag of silver with him and will come home at the time of the full moon. And she seduces him with persistent pleading. She lures him with flattering talk. And this is a crazy situation. He's watching this young guy who's being tempted by this lady who's drawing something out of him that God placed inside of him, a desire that was good and can be holy if it's underneath the umbrella of God's will and God's wisdom for our lives. But once you pull those desires out of God's will, they suddenly become dangerous. And Solomon's watching this whole thing play out in this young man's life. And from the outside looking in, like if you heard this conversation today, like on the way home, if you were like, walking out to your car and a lady popped up and was talking to one of us and was like, hey, I went to church and prayed, let's go sin, my husband's not home, all of us would be like, back away. Like, we would know, that's crazy. But this young guy, he's in the middle of the temptation, he's in the middle of the desire, he's in the middle of the ambush, and it's really hard to think clearly when you're in the middle. When you're in the middle of the thing that's pulling you, or you're desiring, or you're pursuing, after it's hard to think clearly. He's all alone, he has no plan, he's been ambushed by this desire. And like I said, the desire to have romantic love is good. It's something God put inside of all of us. That desire for intimacy is something God placed inside of all of us. That desire to not be alone, that's good. It's something God hardwired into us. In the very beginning in the garden, God made Adam. He looked at Adam and said, man, it's not good for Adam to be alone. And so he made a helpmate, someone who's perfectly compatible to live life together with Adam and Eve. God saw that it wasn't good for us to be alone, so he made relationships for us. It's an awesome thing. I just think, a really cool fact. Adam and Eve, the first two human beings ever, do you know the very first words that were ever spoken from one human to another was? Adam sees Eve for the first time. God says, hey, it's not good for you to be alone. I'm going to prepare someone for you. He makes Eve. And when Adam sees Eve, he's so blown away by her beauty and who she is that he literally sings a song. Like he writes a poem that flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone, that Adam says when he sees Eve. That's a song. Like the first words ever spoken from one human to another human was a love song from a guy to a girl that he was infatuated with. Like God put those desires inside of us. It's an amazing thing. And underneath God's will and underneath God's umbrella of wisdom, man, it can be the best parts of our lives, but outside of it, it becomes dangerous and it becomes deadly. And so Solomon sees this young man who's all alone, who's unprepared, who has no plan. He's ambushed by temptation, ambushed by desire. In verse 22, it says this young guy, he follows her impulsively, unprepared, unplanned, impulsively like an ox going to the slaughter, like a deer bounding toward a trap until an arrow pierces its liver, like a bird darting into a snare. He doesn't know that it will cost him his life. He said because he was unprepared, because he had no plan, that the desires that God placed inside of him were taken outside of God's will, and now he's walking into a trap that will ultimately cost him his life. Man, dating is so important to every single one of us. But Benjamin Franklin says, right, if you fail to plan, you are planning it to fail, and most of us have no plans at all when it comes to dating. So when we find ourselves in situations like this young man was in, where, man, we're lonely and we just don't want to be alone. And so we pay attention to the first person who gives us any affection, and we give in to that temptation, those desires right away. And if we're not cautious, it is leading us to failure, to soul pain and soul hurt, and just lifelong scars and wounds. And some of us want to feel loved so bad that there's boundaries that we know we shouldn't cross, but we cross over and over again just to feel like someone cares about us. And Solomon's saying, be careful, watch out. If you go down that road, if you head in that direction, it may cost you your life. You're like an animal who's running into a trap. If you're unprepared and you're all alone, if you have no plan. So here's what I want us to do. This is really simple. This young man was alone, he had no plan. So when it comes to dating, here's what I want you to do. If you plan on dating, have a plan on how you'll date. If you plan on dating, right, make a plan on how you'll date. don't just wing it. Don't just wait till you're in the moment. Because I promise you, if you wait until you're in the moment, you won't be prepared. If you act impulsively in the moment, you'll make decisions that you regret. And the decisions that we make, we regret making in romantic relationships, especially in the phase of life that you're in right now, have long-term consequences. Long-term consequences. Consequences that will impact the way you love your spouse and the way you communicate with your family. Long-term consequences. So if you plan on dating, make a plan on how you'll date. Don't be unprepared. Don't be caught off guard. Don't wait until you're in the moment. Make the plans now. So if you plan on dating, make a plan on how you date. And I got two just tips for you as you do this. Because I mean, literally, I want you to go home and put together like a plan. Like, figure this thing out. Like, this is the kind of person I want to be with. This is what I expect of them. If they don't live up to this standard, I'm going to dump them. Also, real quick, just so you guys know, I say it a bunch. If you come to me for relationship advice and you're like, hey, what do I do with my boyfriend? What do I do with my girlfriend? 90% of the time, I'm going to tell you to dump them. Just dump them. Like, that's like the best choice you can make most of the time, okay? Just be prepared. I'm going to give you a heads up. If you don't believe me, just ask some of the older people. It's better, almost in the long run, every time. Just go ahead and dump them. Get it over with. But come up with a plan. And be strict on that plan. Expect what you want for the person that you're dating to be like. Live up to this plan that you put together. Actually do some work. And it would be great, right? It would be really awesome if the next part of this proverb was God laying out his plan. Like, here's what it should look like. But God doesn't do that. Because wisdom isn't about getting just a plain instruction book. It's about growing and understanding. And so our goal when it comes to making a plan on the way that we should date is to grow in God's will and understanding of God's will for our lives. And so two tips to help you make this plan when it comes to dating. First one is this: don't plan alone, right? If you go back to that scripture, there's this young guy who's all alone. He's got no one around him to protect him. If anyone was there who cared about him and heard this crazy conversation that he was having, they would have easily pulled him out of the moment and said, this is a crazy person, stay away from him, right? It's really simple. But don't plan alone. Here's another proverb that kind of goes along with this. It's Proverbs 15:22. It says, plans fail where there is no counsel, but with many advisors they succeed. That we need other people around us to give us advice because sometimes we can't see it clearly. We need people around us to help us make this plan. So plan on dating, make a plan on how you'll date, but don't plan alone. So here's some options, right? Here's people that you can talk to help you develop this plan. The first one is easiest, right? It's your parents. Which I think some of you, like, the idea of talking to your parents about romantic relationships is terrifying. And I get it, I'm sorry. But you know what's crazy is your parents love you, for most of us, love us more than anyone else in this entire world. And they have nothing but the best for you in mind. And if you can have these conversations and listen to the wisdom of your parents, it can be really, really beneficial. Don't plan alone. Talk to your parents. They can help you in this. Talk to your friends, right? We talked about last week. If you have wise friends, you will grow in wisdom. But don't listen to your dumb friends when it comes to dating, right? Dumb friends are dangerous, especially when it comes to dating. So don't listen to your dumb friends. If you have wise friends, talk to them about it. Even if your friends are godly people and they love Jesus, they're always going to be at a disadvantage because they're the exact same age that you are. Like, you can't get really good relationship advice from someone who's exactly your age. One of the best things that our friends can do for us is to tell us where we are in a relationship that's wrong for us. And it's really hard to see, but we need people around us to say, you should not be with her, or you should not be with him. It's bad for you. So you can listen to your parents, you should listen to your friends. We shouldn't plan alone. Here's the last one. Just talk to somebody older, right? Because your friends are great, they can give you wisdom, but if you really want to know how to succeed in dating, you should find someone who's been married for like 30 years and who still are like deeply in love and still care about each other and still have fun, and go ask those people, like, hey, how did you make it to this point? Because that's ultimately the goal that you want. Here's a real life example for me. I love my parents. They're great. Tom and Sandra. So if you guys go to Brunswick, you can go to Smith Associates Office Products Incorporated. You can meet my dad and sell you some paper, something like that. But I love my parents, and I go to them for a lot of wisdom. I ask them for advice on a lot of things. They don't believe the same things I believe. They're not part of a church. They don't follow Jesus the same way that I follow Jesus. I've been praying for them for forever. And I asked them for advice about a lot of things, but no advice at all about relationships or no advice about marriages. And here's why. My parents are divorced. My dad has been divorced twice. And so I can ask my dad for a lot of advice and a lot of wisdom and a lot of things, but he has no idea how to have a successful marriage. Right? And I don't need advice from him on that. I need to find someone who's been married for 60 years and say, hey, how did you get to this point? Like, how can I still love my wife the same way you love your wife 60 years from now? How can, I have a relationship, my wife still cares about me the same way your wife cares about you 60 years from now? You guys may hear, this is a sad and funny story, and then I'll explain a little bit about me. My parents met in a bar, and this is the first words my dad ever said to my mom. They were both at a bar, my mom was drinking, and my dad walked up to her and he said, "Hey, my divorce just got finalized, can I buy you a drink?" Like, that's how they started, which is shocking. So I'm saying, I love them, right? But who you choose to help you plan makes a difference. My dad can give you advice on all sorts of things, but when it comes to relationships, I want to find somebody who's already succeeding in them. So if you plan on dating, make a plan on how you date, and make sure you don't plan alone. Like, find people around you who can pour truth into. Talk to your parents, unless you're, my parents, but talk to your parents. Talk to friends who are godly, who are growing in understanding what God's will is for their lives. Find people who are older than you, who are further ahead of you, and ask them how they got to that point. Don't plan alone. And I got alliterated with too many P's in this next point, but here it is. Through prayer, present your plan to God. Through prayer, present your plan to God. So make a plan. Say, here's what I'm going to do. Get your friends together who are close to you. Talk to your parents. Find someone who's successful and older in this relationship game and say, hey, how did you get to this point? Make a plan. And then the next step is to present that plan to God. Like, through prayer, say, God, here's what I'm thinking. What do you have to say about this? Proverbs 16, verses 2 and 3 says this. All a person's way seems right to him, but the Lord weighs motives. Commit your activities to the Lord, and your plans will be established. Like, when we come to a plan, we think it's perfect. Like, yeah, this is the best plan ever. But before you dive head first into the plan that you've come up with, present it to God. Go to God and say, God, what do you think of this? And God will examine your heart. And if it's honorable, if it's in His will, He'll send you forward and it will be established. If not, He'll say no. Essentially what I'm saying is, through prayer, give God the chance to veto your relationships. Give God the chance to step in and say, hey, no, you should not date right now. Or you should not date this person right now. Or you should just wait because I've got something better in store for you. Present your plan to God through prayer and trust Him. Give Him the right and the opportunity to say yes or no. Knowing that whatever God's wisdom is for you, especially when it comes to dating and relationships, it's 100% worth it. Because whatever God's plan is for you in your romantic life is 1,000 times better than your plan. That all our plans seem right to us, but God's are better. But if you're planning on dating, make a plan on how you date. If not, you'll be overwhelmed in those moments where you can't respond. You'll be impulsive, and if you're not cautious, it will lead you into a trap, and that trap will take everything from you. I read a story about a young guy who didn't make that plan. So if you plan on dating, plan on how you're going to date. And then don't plan alone. Surround yourself with family and friends and with mentors, people who are ahead of you to help you make that decision. And then make sure you're presenting that plan through prayer to God over and over again. And the God of the universe, who created every molecule in the room, who holds everything together, the God that we sing about, who saves us from the cross, the God who left heaven behind to come and rescue us, He cares so much about you that He will respond in those moments. But just let it sink in for a second. The fact that the God who created all things cares so much that He wants to talk to you about the specifics of your life. The book of Proverbs is written from a father to his kids. Solomon talking to his sons, but specifically it's the God, our Father, speaking to His sons and His daughters, to us. He cares about you so much, He wants you to grow in wisdom now. He cares about your tomorrow, He cares about your future, He cares about your eternity, but He also cares about who you are right now. So before you give your heart to someone else, make sure you give your heart to God first. Dating is important. It can be amazing. It can give you some of the best moments of your life. It can also cause you the biggest regrets and the biggest hurts and the biggest scars that you'll face. And most of us rush into dating without any plan at all. So if you plan on dating, make a plan on how to date. Don't plan alone. Present that plan to God through prayer and allow God to lead you and guide you. Make sure that your relationship with Him is the primary relationship in your life. So we're going to come through one last worship song. And in this song, we're going to talk about how, because the God of the universe cares about us, we don't have to hide anymore. That we can be open and we can be honest. We can lay bare all the mistakes that we've made or all the joys that we have. And the God who created us still responds and He still cares. The greatest thing about the God that we serve and the God that we follow and the God that loves us is that He has new grace for us every day. That means if you've messed up before when it comes to dating, if you messed up in relationships or with purity, if you messed up in any of those things, God is not done with you yet. He's always there for you. If you know Jesus and you've surrendered your heart to Him, you don't have to worry because God is always there waiting for you, seeking you, responding to you choosing to love you. So this last song, as we worship God in this moment, man, if you already are a follower of Jesus, to celebrate the fact that God cares so much that he will speak practically to you in the real areas of your life. Knowing you don't have to hide anything from him, and they will always accept you. Maybe you're here tonight and you don't know Jesus, and you've never experienced the kind of relationship where the God of the universe cares about you at all. And you want to know what it means to be loved like that, to be part of his family. During this last song, I'm going to stand over this side of the room and just come and talk to me. And I'd love to talk to you about what it means to start following Jesus, experience that kind of relationship with him. Or if you're going to wait till the end, talk to me when everybody else leaves. That's fine. Just know, man, before you give your heart to anyone else, make sure you give your heart to Jesus first. So I'm praying, when I'm done praying, you guys stay on your feet, and we're going to worship this God who cares so much about us. Let's pray. So Father, thank you so much for the fact that we don't have to figure all this out on our own. That God, in the most important areas of our lives, the things that we struggle with, the things that give us great joys, but also are super dangerous, that God, you even speak into those areas. Father, thank you for creating us. Thank you for holding the world together. But Father, thank you for speaking directly to each and every one of us through the real struggles that we experience in our life. Father, I pray we can take your wisdom for granted. That God, our desire would be to grow in our understanding of what your will would be in our lives, in every area of our lives. When it comes to friends, when it comes to dating, God, and when it comes to just every moment of our day. God, we believe that wisdom is worth it, and we want to grow in that. So Father, when it comes to dating, give us the wisdom, give us the courage, give us the discipline to make that plan. And God, let us even honor you in the way that we date while we're in high school. Father, we know that in the end, all the things we talk about, all the things we pray for, God, none of these things would be possible without your Son and the sacrifice that he made on the cross and the fact that he left a grave behind. And so, Father, it's in the name of Jesus that we pray. Amen. You guys stay on your feet.